Welcome to Tech Hustler on YouTube, where you're Python for intermediates. Maybe I shall message us on subscribe to this channel or best subscribe and we'll put you on post notifications and the better next time see you post your boom. And I'm also subscribing so a boy my channel only grows and the be motivated to do more videos for you to learn. Okay, so in today's video, you become some Python classes. By the end of this lesson, you now with me explaining a class in a simple terms. You better now with me create a class and object. So you'll be able to create instances. You be now to me using the init function or the init constructor to store a data. You better now to me access attributes and methods. You be not say adequate also we use classes. Okay, my main first scenario is any example. You find us will build a system to keep students' records, and in that system, a quite be na first one will present students in the code na or So in this scenario, idea will be easy the Python class, and you can say Python class now we have a way so the Python class become a blueprint for the students. So individual students biana will be here in the system. And I say individual record of a students biana will be here in your system. There is a class I be represented that specific student. And sa class no akwa to say usi dan na what the plan and AC. So plan no baako, but to be me the plan no ankasa see a dime bebree with different areas, different plots, and I said different position be a dino AC by using the same plan of the dino. I mean, sure, quite a short class, and I say how we see a writer class or Python. So in writing a class in Python, first of all, there is a keyword I'll be using, and this keyword a class. And then after that keyword, we'll be using the class name no ebeba. So my main say be a car. So now I want to create the class car. Okay. So after that, me them a colon ebeba. So whatever be a whatever class name will be coming here. Okay. So that is how I draw class. So in a class, there were two things. We have the attribute and the method. The attribute, the data of that specific class. You can say data. That is the records. You say car no, the color the ben. Mouse do say na akọ. Nipa do say na car no efa. So and only the attributes no. And then the method no the property of the car. We talk about the property of the car now. The property of a class at the class no okay. So in this case, the car no property be say it can move, you can stop it, you can spark it, or you can start it. The property of the class, okay? So in this case, because a car no a property, they say a bit more movie, a bit more stop it, a bit more start it. Okay, so and only some of the things I also young. So there is one thing that we are supposed to understand. In writing the name of a class, no, there is a naming convention I will say we use. That is the Pascal naming convention. The Pascal naming convention is the same fancy. We use 2 words for a specific class. The first letter of each a word we are used to be and should be uppercase. For example, if I say car property, and then a class name, okay, I'm supposed to have say C in the capital, then P in the capital. So that is the Pascal naming convention. Now, class needing, I will maintain it to be car. So I have it make be a name. Car needing make be a Benz. Color should be black. Okay. Now I'll have some properties. So the first property is let me start a car. So I'll start it. So the properties in the form of method. Okay. The method is a function. But in classes, no, and I say in Python class, you friend a method. Unlike using the procedural programming, and no function, but here we call it method. And see within this method, no, there is something I'm supposed to bring. That is the self. Self, no, actually the specific object now you can I will explain the object for us to understand. So it represents the specific object. In the draw amateur. Okay, so I'll say return started or car started. So let me see car started. Now I call another method. May also make us say be a move. See our return car moved. Or the car is moving. Car is moving. Okay. And the last one, I'll say stop. So, and also I'll return car stopped. Okay. So this is my car class. So whenever I need anything from this car class, I need to create an instance. And then with the instance, we have a class that I'm supposed to call. And that class, your friend will be object. So the object is the specific thing now per se of friend. So for example, to some make say a class in the form of plan. To say the easy fee na your site plan. Okay. Sounds like a car requires a plan. So I can use this same car class to create multiple cars. Okay. And with any car be a person create biano, there is something I friend of object. So for example, like I say car 1 is equal to car. Okay. So now this is the object. Okay. And you need to be an instance. Okay. So when you instance name, and this is the object. The object, represented the specific car now can was. So me car 2. This is another object and also agent on its own. So we are different from this. It means say me the same plan as if you 2. I hope you understand this. Okay, and then I make self no one. So this self represents each instance be and each object be a create be. So this self represent this car. It's me call it this car. So self represented this one. So me call it this car and also represented this one. So first of all, I mean cancel way. I mean say car. So let me print the car name. So I'll say print. Okay, so I'll say call car 1 dots. Okay, so that is this car 1 dots, the name of the car. Okay, so when I run this, I'm supposed to have the name of the car in the console. It's Benz. Okay, if I want to start the car, I'll say car 1. Let me create another one here. So I'll say car 1 dots starts. Okay, now me run here and also me Benz car started. Okay, so if I want to move it, print car 1 dots move. So me run away so the car will be moving. In terms of the car is what's moving. So basically this is how it means. With this one is an object on its own. It makes me create another object. I don't see a difference. So car 2. Okay. With that same car class. But and also on its own. So because I print car dots, I will say color. So car 2 dot color. Okay. Now if I run this, I'll have the color. Okay. So that is how it is. So this is the plan. And then this is the actual house that we are building. In the car, no the object, we know there just a plan. Okay. So there is one thing that we are supposed to know. There is something we call the init function. With the init function, no, a function be whenever we call a class, it calls itself. Okay. So for instance, let's say per se you display dynamic values and as a dynamic element from this class. So we can use the init function. And in some other words, we call it constructor. And the I mean say and say def. So that's how it is. Init. Okay. So with the init function, no, you have the underscore underscore and the init underscore underscore. So here I can say name and then color. Okay, so I do not need this again, or I can bring them here. Sorry. Okay. So now what I'm supposed to do is to bring the self dot name and then another self dot name. And we all know say the self no represents that specific object now or calling. Okay. So I have says changing the name of the car and then say so I'll format this string and I'll bring this here. So let me format this string as I said. So I'll format it with this and I'll say self dot name is moving. Okay. Now say okay has started. Has started. And then I also say self dot name has stopped. Okay. And then here, oh sorry, I'm supposed to say it's moving here. It's moving. It's moving. And I'll say self dot name has stopped. And I believe you understand how I'm using this string formatting. Okay, so if you don't understand, you can go back to my previous videos. My string formatting or one of the playlists or my YouTube channel. No. Okay, so now we have created this car class. Now this is just the plan of the car or just a model of the car. So if you want to create a car, you just say car is equal to this car. So this init function, as I said, no, it calls itself whenever we call a class. Okay, automatically it calls itself. So these parameters or the arguments here will be needed here. So what is the name of the car? I'll say Benz. So let me just name this to car 1 Benz. So here you understand why I say for every instance it represents itself. So the self represents each instance be able creating. So although this is a class, one class, but you bet me use it create multiple instances and as objects. Okay. So I can say be a Benz. Okay, and then the color, I'll say blue. Okay. So if I call this class, I can say print car1 dot started or starts. Okay, so let me run this. Now Benz has started. Now, you're keeping note of this. I want to create car 2. Into car 2, so make us say car 2 is equal to car. And then the color, no, I'll say So this car is also BMW, and the color I'll say white. Okay, so if I print this to car 2 dot start. Now let me run this for us to see. In the way say Benz has started. Car 1, car 2, car 2, car 2. So I was supposed to assign this to this and then assign this to this. So that's why I'm having the same problem. So keep note of that. But I'll make sure to always change it to this, meaning we are assigning this variable to this variable or this parameter, and then this color variable to this parameter. So whenever we make any changes, it's supposed to reflect here. Okay, so let's run it again. Now you see Benz has started, BMW has started using the same class but different instances. You're creating different objects for the class now. Now we can create multiple cars using the same plan. Okay, so that's how the init function does. The init function, it calls itself, and with me use the generate dynamic values and other dynamic objects. Okay, so now this is the object. Okay, and then this is the class. Okay, so that is how it's here. So each object is independent, and then for every class or for every instance that we create, it depends on itself. So self, I call it that specific object, and as I represented that specific object now, you create here. So and we should know that the init function automatically run itself. So using the init function, it automatically run itself, and the attributes live inside the object. So accessing the attributes, you need to create an instance. Now the idea access the attributes, and I say already access a specific method via a work class name. So that is how it's here. So here, if we want to change, let's say we passed Benz to this car 1, we want to change it to, let's say, okay, so Toyota. Let's say we want to change this to Toyota. I can say car 1 dot name is equal to Toyota. Okay. Now, if I call this class, that is, if I print the car 1 starts, it will say Toyota is running instead of Benz because I've been able to change it from here. So now let me run it. It says Toyota has what? Started. So that's how you can change it. I can also change the car 2 to, let's say, car 2 to, let's say, name, and I'll call this VW. So if I run this, let me run this. You see VW has started. So that's how you can make changes to the class. So this is just the summary of everything. You should know that a class is just a plan, okay? More or less like a side plan where they were created with the person with the and then with that class, now we see multiple houses. So here we created a plan for the car, and then that plan we can use it to create multiple cars as we stated here. Now if I want to print the color of this car, it's almost the same. I'll say print. Okay, so I want to print the color of car 2. So I'll say print car 2 dot color. Okay, so let me run this. So the color of car 2 is what? White. Because we inserted white here. Now we have the color to be what? White. So that's how it's here. And I believe you understand this. Or any question behind, you can put it in the comment section, and I'll have time to answer them for you. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and put us on post notifications. And maybe next time you post here, wobɛhu. Thank you for watching.